Random Guy Goes Viral presents the Fanfic Archives. Red Rot. Statement of a resident of the Undergrove and their encounters with Crimson Mold, taken directly from source. Statement begins. Do you just want me to start? Yeah. Okay, yeah. Have you ever watched a builder build, and I mean like really get into the groove of it? How they can completely transform their surroundings on a whim, create something beautiful out of nothing. It's fascinating to watch, really, seeing how someone can shape the landscape to their own image. I guess, in a way, it resembles how corruption takes hold. I know that everyone calls it that. Corruption. It leaks into the world, spills out like a virus teeming at the edges, at the seams of our very reality. I'd call it rot. It came here and took our land, our home, in swirling reds and creeping vines. While I would not call it beautiful, the spread can be just as sudden and fascinating as that of watching a builder build. It is almost pretty, somehow. The way it swirls and climbs up walls and twists along paths. But more than it is pretty, it's dangerous. When I came here, to the Undergrove, I mean, when I came here I expected it to be calm. There was talk, whispers of things being just a tad off, but I was brave, or maybe just stupid, and I came here anyhow. Maybe I really should have moved to the ocean instead. Forgive me, I'm getting ahead of myself. I should maybe start from the start, really. I moved here in search of something new. I grew up in the same place all my life, so hearing about new cities and kingdoms and whatnot piqued my interest. So I did my digging, you know? Here, this area as a whole wasn't the first place I checked out, but it seemed the least foreboding. Others that I visited were more actively in a state of disarray, I guess. I expected it to be peaceful here. When I moved out, it was, at first. The Undergrove really is a lovely place. There wasn't much of it here. There still isn't, so I guess I didn't really realize how much was going on. I'm not a hermit exactly, but I like staying home where I can, and I was still settling in, so it didn't really strike me that things were happening. Shortly after I came here, I made fast friends with an elven man from Rivendell. He told me stories about it, the red rot that crawled ever closer to his home. I wish I'd believed him before. I don't think he can't be dead, but I've lost contact with him. He can't be dead though, right? This stuff doesn't kill people. This place is odd. I know that. I knew it moving in. It's a place of magic and spirits and terracotta soldiers, souls and specters. I knew that. It was part of why I came here. There were accommodations specifically for non-humans, and it was almost too good to be true. I guess it is too good to be true. But, right, I'm spending too much time talking about me now. The stuff. The rot, the decay, the corruption, whatever you want to call it. My first direct encounter with it wasn't at home. No, it was actually more passing through the Grimlands. And I don't think the corruption from that place is intentional, you know? It's managed and kept in check. It's careful. The rot, though? I was passing through the Grimlands to, well, buy some stuff. The place gives me the creeps, sure, but that's fine. I was looking through some of the shops when I saw it. Not terribly noticeable against all that was the Grimlands, but it was there. Crimson and creeping and awful. The shopkeep must have noticed my gaze directed at it. Maybe I stopped speaking, because her expression grew nervous. She told me to leave it be. I did. I didn't touch it, and I left it be. It didn't leave my mind for a while after that, though. It looked like it was beating, like a heart. It looked like it was pulsating, a steady beat. Things like that they shouldn't move. They shouldn't be alive. I know what they say, curiosity killed the cat, right? I should have stopped there, left it alone. Maybe I should have jumped ship right then and there, you know? I've heard Bodum Town is nice this time of year. But I stayed. And I didn't see anything for a while after that. Then I visited the Crystal Cliffs, which are absolutely beautiful when not so utterly rotten. There it was. I didn't notice. I was up in my own head a little bit, enjoying the view. I wasn't really paying attention to where my feet were, only my head. So I walked along the cobbled paths of the Crystal Cliffs, enjoying the view and the way light bounced off clusters of gemstone. The thing about not paying attention to your feet is you might just end up stepping in something you really don't want to step in. At first I thought the unsettling squelch under my heel was a misstep into Podzol or something. It wasn't. Lucky me! When I looked down, I saw my foot half sunk in rot. It's so much more than just corruption. It's rot. It's a virus, a plague. My foot was half sunk in it, and I froze. Because I swear I'm not crazy, and I swear on my life when I say it pulsed around me. Like a heart. And my foot was all the way deep in it before I realized that it was being pulled down. In a fit of panic, I yanked my foot up and out, hoping to whatever might be out there that the leather of my boots protected my skin. As I pulled my foot out, a spray of spores and pus came up with it. I couldn't keep my composure. I screamed and almost gagged. The spores clung to my boot like they were spiked, and I couldn't shake them off. Pus that was dark and almost looked like blood spilled from the hole and dripped off my shoe. It couldn't be blood, though. Rot doesn't bleed. I knew it wasn't blood, though, because of the smell. It was like sulfur and gunpowder and ash, but it was also so sickly sweet that I felt it in the back of my throat. I pedaled back like it'd save me, or something, and I wanted to stop looking, I really did, but I just couldn't. It was almost mesmerizing. It almost called to me. It was a patch on the ground, close to twice my size and length. Red and horrible as the pus spilled and the spore settled, it was creeping towards me. With the drum of a heart it didn't have, it pulsed forward, wriggling against the ground. I looked at myself, and the spores that stuck to my boot opened, began crawling up, twisting and writhing against the leather surface. I hated that for a moment. It was almost beautiful. The spores on my boot twisted just a bit too close to my skin, though, and I pulled myself from my daze. I kicked my shoe at the mass. I wanted to scream, but if anyone was watching, they'd know better than to come out to help the fool who stepped in the decay. I wanted to cry, but what if it used my tears to get into my eyes? To crawl within me and eat me from the inside out, like a parasite. I couldn't let myself become a host. I ran to the falls. What else could I do, really? It was the best idea I had, so I ran and dunked my hands and feet and face into the water. I held my breath and squeezed my eyes shut and scrubbed my skin until it was pink and stinging and raw. I dared to look back, and my boot was gone. It had either consumed it, or it was too covered in the stuff to really be a boot anymore. I looked down at myself, my shaking form in the surface of the water, and for a moment the red on my cheeks almost looked rotten. The ripples flattened, and it looked fine, but I dunked my head back under and scrubbed again just in case. The rot was still crawling towards me, and I knew that no one would help. I was alone here. So I left my other shoe, it wasn't like I'd be able to wear it again, picked my soaking self up off the ground, and I ran. I ran all the way home, breathless and panting and chilled to the bone as I collapsed back into my bed. When I close my eyes, I can still see it, pulsing and beating and creeping closer and closer towards me. I bought some flowers with strong smells from House Blossom because the scent still sticks in the back of my mind and my throat. Part of me is scared it's because I inhaled it. Maybe it really is in me now. Maybe I'm doomed. Maybe that's what happened to my friend in Rivendell. He became part of it. But I don't feel rotten other than that. It could very well just be me being in shock. Trauma and whatever is a messy thing, isn't it? I don't. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm just scared. I never should have moved from home. I should have moved anywhere but here. It's too dangerous to leave, though. I don't want to spread it further if there's a chance I could. I swear my skin looks a little too red today. Statement ends.